This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It sure is great being here with you, helping you learn to play the guitar. This is lesson 20 in this series that is all about strumming patterns and strumming principles. In this lesson, we're going to continue to work with the slap mute technique in a couple of more strumming patterns. So I introduced this technique with a couple of strumming patterns in the last lesson. And in this lesson, we're going to work on it again with a couple more strumming patterns. So what we're doing here, and in the way that it's written, this is the way that we are treating the rest. This is how we're getting the sound of the rest to come about, though technically there's a little bit of a rhythmic figure to it when we get these slapping strings happening. But this is how we're treating the rest as far as how it's written up here on the board. Of course, music is all about what we create, and on paper or when it's written is just trying to sort of communicate what we're doing. So it's really about what we're doing, and we're using rest to indicate this here, and I'm going to walk us through these strumming patterns. Just a review on this slapping technique. So as I mentioned in the last lesson, if I play a bar chord, I can get the strings to mute just by relaxing my left hand, and that stops those strings from ringing. I haven't taken my fingers off the strings, they're still touching, but just by relaxing the pressure, the strings mute. And that's a way to get the rest sound or a muted sound. And I could do the strumming pattern from last time, or the strumming patterns from this time, doing that technique for the rest. But in these lessons, we're working on this slap technique here in the right hand. And so I mentioned before that I just use this part of my hand to, I'm just going to do it with an A chord, just to slap those strings so that they are not ringing. Sometimes I'm hitting right off these fingers and this part of the hand because of how I'm holding a pick. Sometimes I actually rotate my wrist just a little bit and hit off the meat of the hand a little bit more, so that part there. But if you're new, if this is the first time you've seen this lesson, you're going to want to work that technique where you just strum and then mute those strings by slapping those strings, and when they hit the frets, we get a little bit of a percussive sound there, that chick. So it's kind of cool. And we worked on that in the last lesson. So let's go ahead and take a look at the two strumming patterns that we have, starting with this one on top up here. So we're going to start with a swung eighth note feel. What that means is the notes or the rhythms that fall, the strums that fall on the beat are going to be right on the beat. But for the eighth notes that are in between the beats, we're going to shove it just a little bit further back into the beat. So it's going to be a swung eighth note feel instead of what we call a straight or even eighth note feel. So that's a little review on that, as we've talked about that in previous lessons as well. So we're going to start out here with this down, up, slap. Down, up, slap. And so down, up, slap. And then we're going to have up, down, up. Down, up, slap, up, down, up. Down, up, slap, up, down, up. Down, up, slap, up, down, up. Now, in the last lesson, when we got to a figure that came after the slap, we did a down strum, and I mentioned because we're really set up to do the down strum. But in this one with the swung eighth notes, we have a little bit more time here, and for this strumming pattern, it sounds better to do the up strum. So down, up, slap, up, down, up. So we have to come down to come back up. Down, up, slap, up, down, up. Down, up, slap, up. I just did the down, down, up, slap, up, down, up. Just like that. Work that as much as you need to. Then we're having another slap, and then we start all over again with the and of 4 there to come around actually. So as it's repeated, it really is just down, up, slap, up, down, up, slap, up, down, up, slap, up, down, up, slap. So down, up, slap, up, down, up, slap, up, down, up. Once you get that going, you can work on it with a chord. I'm going to do it with the A chord so we can really hear it. Just like that. Super fun. And then when we plug it in one time per chord, I've got this chord progression up here on the board so we can practice it in reality. A, D, A, E, A, D, E, A. We'll plug this in one time per chord. We'd have 1, 2, ready, and... And we can slow that down a little bit. I wanted to give it at sort of an even, just regular old tempo. But if we slow it down, we'd have 1, 2, ready, and... Take it a little bit faster. We'd have 1, 2, ready, and... And if we take it a little bit faster, we'd have 1, 2, ready, and... Now, super fun pattern that can be used in different songs. And there are songs that use this sort of groove, and it's all about the groove. Now, most of the time, if I was going to use this strumming pattern, I would do it in the swung feel. It just sort of has the wing-a-whack-a, wing-a-whack-a, wing-a-whack-a kind of feel that is really fun. But we could also do it with even eighth notes, and that would sound like down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So I'm going to go ahead and play through the chord progression doing that. We'd have 1, 2, ready, and... Just like so. So it totally works, and you could use it slow, you could use it even faster. 1, 2, ready, and... So just like that. Now, okay, let's take a look at this next pattern. So super fun one there. I've got another one for us. This one has rests on every single one of the beats. So slap, we will do slaps there. And then up strums on all the off beats. So this is a fun pattern. Now let's just talk through for a second the mechanics of an up strum. Really, the strumming pattern, or the strumming the way the strumming motion works is it's just like waving. So if we're waving to a friend, it's just back and forth the same way. Now if we're using a pick, of course, we're brushing the strings as we go down, and then we're brushing the strings as we go up. And I do feel a slight difference in the way that the pick is held. If I'm not using a pick at all, I usually do down strums with the back of my fingers and an up strum with the back of my thumb. So down, up, down, up. So in this case, if I was doing all up strums, I would have slap up with my thumb. If I was doing it, I could do it with fingers, but that's going to be awkward, so I don't do that. Some people will sometimes use one single finger though, slap, index, but really the easiest way for an up strum is with the back of the thumb, if using just fingers and not a pick. But the pick otherwise brushes, and it's just coming up into the air the same way we would wave, sort of the backwards direction. We just come up. It's as simple as that. We brush those strings, and we have to go down to come back up, but really that brushing motion is just the waving motion, as I've explained in other lessons like on Technique Tuesdays and so on. So in this case though, when we're going to be resting, we're going to slap and then do up, slap and then go up, slap. We're going to have to reposition our hand down and just bring it up, just that jerk up motion, and brush those strings, whether we're using a thumb or the pick, which is really just an extension of the thumb. Slap, up, slap, up, slap, up, slap. So you can practice this on an A chord. This takes a little bit of getting used to. Slap, up, slap, up, slap, up, slap, up. So we'll try it with the chord progression. once you've practiced doing it just on one chord as long as you need to, but I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the chord progression. Started off just a little bit slow here, so we're going to have 1 and 2 and ready and go and... That beat one would be a slap again, so I probably should have just done a slap instead of the chord there. So that's a great tempo to sort of get comfortable with it at. I'm going to take it a little bit faster though. So we're going to have 1 and 2 and ready and go and... And that time I didn't do it, and I still kind of missed that chord. Okay, so I'm going to take it a little bit faster. That's a great tempo to start getting comfortable. The faster we go, the more you have to relax to keep up with it. But we'll go 1 and 2 and ready and go and... Okay, so I'm going to take it even faster. The faster and faster it goes, sometimes I find myself actually sort of strumming the strings while I'm slapping it, so that my pick is in the position that it needs to be for the up strum. So it kind of combines that down motion with the slap, because you're just kind of doing that, and sometimes the pick will brush across the strings, though we're really just hearing that slapped string sound. So 1, 2, ready, and... Super fun. So great strumming pattern to practice. That sort of thing. We do a lot of up strumming if you like to play ska music. Also, like Paul McCartney's Obla Di Obla Da has sort of that super fun feel. Now, I was doing this one with even eighth notes. When I play this sort of thing, I find that I like the even eighth note feel the best instead of the swung eighth notes, just like I like the swung eighth note feel with that top one. But if we were to do it swung, we'd have slap, up, slap, up, slap, up, slap, up, 1, a 2, a ready, go. So, super fun technique. I hope you have fun with that. You can, of course, insert that into other strumming patterns as well, or create other variations of your own. But there's some that use that technique, which is a fun technique to have, and I find myself plugging those grooves that come out of the strumming patterns, the 2 in this lesson and the 2 from the last lesson, into different songs. And there's songs that just sort of have that already and works great as a strumming pattern. So I hope you're having fun. In the next lesson in this series, we're going to do a couple patterns where we're going to add the triplet feel into this 4/4 time, where we don't have triplets already. So we worked a lot with the triplet feel in 6/8, 9/8, and 12/8 time. Now we're going to bring that back into strictly 4/4. We'll be mixing up eighth notes, just when we have regular old 2 eighth notes per beat intermixed with those 3 eighth notes, which creates that triplet feel. It's gonna be great, and I hope you join me for that one. I also wanted to mention before I end this lesson that if you wanted to do this sort of thing with other meters, then you could take any of the patterns that we've done and insert rest places and have that slap. You could also write some new ones for those meters where you've got rests in there with that slap. You can adapt these ones. So these patterns work really, really great for simple meter, 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4 types of things. And of course, we'd have to change the feel if we were getting into 6/8, 9/8, or 12/8, or the odd meters, because we work through odd meters like 5/4, 5/8, 7/8, those kinds of meters. But with 3/4 and 2/4, for 2/4 we could just use one of these strumming patterns across two measures of 2/4, or just cut it in half. For 3/4, all we have to do is drop a beat. So like with this top one, 1 and slap, and 3 and then we just cut off that last beat. You'd have 1 and slap and 3 and 1 and slap and 3 and 1 and slap and 3 and something like that. You can just pull the beat out. If I were to plug that in, and I'll do it swung, we'd have, and we'll do it one measure per chord here. 1, 2, 3. Speaking of 6/8, 9/8, and 12/8 with that feel, with that swung feel, all we'd have to do is do 2 measures of the 3/4 for 1 6/8. So if we did 2 measures of that 3/4 on each of these chords, we'll kind of get that feel. So 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6. So having that in there for two times creates a 6/8 feel. If we added another one of those, down, up, up, down, up, we would have 9/8, and if we did 4 of them, we would have 12/8. And then you could use that sort of thing where you have the 3 in the odd meters but not in the 2, so you could sort of just manipulate those patterns to include slap and feel there as well. So just wanted to mention that sort of thing. Of course, with this one, all we'd have to do is drop that beat 4, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, and through this strumming pattern, through this chord progression with the strumming pattern, you'd have 3, 2, 1. So fully adaptable, this sort of thing is fully adaptable to the other meters. You can use this sort of technique and apply it there. So hope that helps. Hope you're having fun. As I mentioned earlier, in the next lesson, we're going to introduce some triplets back into the regular old 4/4 time feel. And we can even see how that would apply similarly in other meters as well. Keep having fun with the guitar. Take care, and we will see you again.
If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.